Well, this video is looking at inequalities. And so as it says, an inequality is a mathematical sentence that compares two quantities that are not equal. You've created inequalities when you have used these symbols. So we have like that one. We can even do with a line underneath, or we can go the other way. We call this one less than or equal to. This one's greater than, and greater than or equal to. So let's see what those look like. I might have something like this that says J is less than 4. We have it here in words. J is less than 4. So it's going to be smaller than 4. We can also have something like this where it says N is less than or equal to 4. So this one is different because it can equal 4. This one, it cannot equal 4. It has to be everything smaller than 4. This one is everything that is smaller than 4, or it can be 4. So possible values for n, let's look at possible values for this. We just said it can equal 4. But it also could be numbers less than 4. 3. It could be a decimal. You could have 2.75. It can be a negative number, negative 18. It could be 0. Those are all numbers that can be less than or equal to 4. Impossible values for n, so things that cannot be 5, can't be 8. Any number greater than 4, it cannot be. 107. Those are all impossible values of 4. Also, 4.01 would not work because it's greater than 4. We also have our greater than symbol, so k is greater than 1 is how we would read this. And we read this one as m is greater than or equal to 1. And again, those little lines underneath that tell us that it can equal. So a possible value for m, it can equal 1. It has to be greater. It could be 1.01 this time because we're greater than 1. 7. 1,327. Impossible values, 0.99 is less than 1, so it can't be that. Negative 4. 0. Those are all impossible values. So that is how we read an inequality and kind of think about what they mean. Now we can actually transfer that to a graph. And so our graph is going to look like this. Sometimes we might see a number line with this is what our graph's going to look like, and we're going to be asked to write the inequality that matches that. Later on, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you an inequality, and we're going to graph it. So we can kind of work both ways with that. So with this one, you'll notice this like circle here, or sometimes we see it as a dot. That tells us the number that we're gaining for. Now, I'm just going to pick a variable. We're going to have a variable. And our number here is 2. So it's either less than 2 or greater than 2 or less than or equal to 2 or greater than or equal to 2. We're going to figure out what that means. So we're going to use our variable and we're going to use our 2. As I look at this, here's my 2. I see this dark arrow or this dark line and arrow goes to everything, and you have to think, are these things greater than 2 or less than 2? Well, 4 is greater than 2. 4 is bigger than 2. So that means we are going to use our greater than symbol. And then we have to ask, well, is it going to be a greater than or equal to, or just the greater than? And the way that we look at that is we look at the dot. And notice this is an open circle. And so if it's an open circle, then it is just a greater than. So these are greater thans are open circle. And that is with less than 2. So this is for our graph. It's an open circle. Or for here, it's going to be a closed circle. So for both of our less than or equal to, it's a closed circle. And I'm going to tell you why for that in just a moment. So our inequality is going to look like x is greater than 2. Now let's look at this one right here. I'm going to just keep using x, so you can use any variable that you want, and then we're going to compare it to the number 4 because that's where our kind of circle is at 4. We're going to put our inequality sign in between here. So I look, I'm at 4. The dark line goes over numbers like 1, 2, 3. So I compare 2 to 4. 2 is less than 4. So we're going to be using our less than symbol. Now we have to decide, is it just less than or equal to? And so I look at the closed circle or the filled in circle, and we have it this time. So that tells us we are including the number 4. So if it's filled in, we include the number 4, that number. Over here it wasn't filled in, so we don't actually include it. Remember, 4 is an option here. 2 is not an option here. It has to be less than 2. It can be greater than or equal to 4. So the equal to gets the filled in circle. If it doesn't have the equal to sign, then it's an open circle. One trick that I've seen people use, and it only works if the variable comes first, so I'll tell you this because we wrote both of these with the variable first. If the variable comes first, look at the opening of our inequality and look at the arrowhead. They match. Look at the opening for our inequality and look at the arrowhead. They match. So they kind of look the same. Now, again, that only works if the variable's first. If the variable is not first, that does not work. So now let's look at a couple. All right, we'll do y is greater than 1. So if I have y is greater than 1, I have an open circle, and then that tells us we want to go to the right. So we're going to go this way. I usually, if I have a number line like this, it's okay to go above it too. So we'll do an open circle. There's already one there, but we'll go an open circle, and our arrow is going to go this way. All right, here we have, and we'll do b is less than 4. So I go to 4. We have an open circle. So we'll do an open circle there. We always go to this number. And then we say b is less than. So it has to be smaller than 4. So we draw our arrow to cover all of the numbers that are smaller than 4. All right, last one. We'll do n is greater than or equal to 1. So this time we have our filled in circle because it's a greater than at 1. And we want n values to be greater than 1. n is greater than 1, so we go that way. All right, and so now you'll have a few more of these to try on your own.